In a time marked by remarkable scientific and military advancements, a Soviet engineer imagined a way to bring illumination to remote parts of Russia where darkness dominated. Vladimir Sergeyevich Siromyatnikov envisioned a massive orbital mirror capable of redirecting sunlight back onto the Earth's surface. Such a system, he believed, could brighten entire towns and help agricultural regions that suffered from long, sunless winters. The Znamya Project was met with skepticism from government officials in the Soviet space sector. Even so, Siromyatnikov pushed his idea into the public eye and managed to secure funding. What began as a dream was now turning into a real mission. Several progressively larger orbital reflectors were planned, with the goal of eventually placing a permanent one in space. After many years of effort, Znamya 2 launched in October 1992, and for a fleeting moment, a patch of Earth below was touched by its reflected light. The experiment felt like something lifted straight from science fiction. Vladimir Sergeyevich Siromyatnikov was born in Russia on January 7, 1933. From an early age, Siromyatnikov showed a deep fascination with machines and the mechanics behind them. He grew up during a harsh and unstable period in Soviet history. Under Joseph Stalin, the country experienced brutal political repression, widespread purges, and an unforgiving authoritarian system that crushed opposition. Stalin's relentless effort to militarize the USSR and transform it into the world's most powerful industrial and economic force put extraordinary pressure on ordinary people. Millions of laborers were pushed to exhaustion, and in an effort to maximize output, Stalin even abolished weekends entirely. Despite these grim circumstances, it was also a time ripe with opportunity for talented scientists and engineers. As the Cold War intensified, the Soviet Union was desperate for technological breakthroughs that could give it an edge in both the space race and the global arms competition against the United States and its allies. Siromyatnikov eventually completed his studies at the Bauman Moscow Higher Technical School and later at the School of Mechanics at Moscow State University, earning his engineering degree. In 1956, he joined the Korolev Rocket and Space Corporation Energia, where teams were working tirelessly on the Vostok spacecraft, the vehicle that would carry the first human into space. After more than a decade contributing to space engineering, Siromyatnikov rose to become a department head at Energia in the late 1970s. He played a key role in developing robotic arms, onboard mechanisms, and the sophisticated docking systems needed for space missions. One of his most notable achievements was the creation of APAS, the Androgynous Peripheral Attach System, which allowed two separate spacecraft to dock either temporarily or for extended periods. This system made the historic 1975 Apollo-Soyuz mission possible, marking the first joint crewed spaceflight between the Soviet Union and the United States. Enhanced versions of APAS were later used throughout the 1990s for docking the Space Shuttle Atlantis with the Mir space station. It was around this period that Siromyatnikov's interest shifted toward the emerging concept of solar sails. In 1988, the United States proposed marking the 500th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas, with an ambitious solar sailboat race between Earth and the Moon. Although the American side soon abandoned the plan due to financial constraints, the Soviet Union pressed forward. Energia, along with Siromyatnikov and a group of Soviet researchers, established the Space Regatta Consortium, SRC. Its mission was to advance solar sail technology and explore its future potential. As described by Luan of Space Legal Issues, solar sails operate by using the pressure of sunlight striking large, mirror-like surfaces to generate propulsion. Siromyatnikov envisioned adapting this principle not only to move spacecraft, but also to redirect sunlight toward Earth, illuminating dark regions during nighttime. Years later, Columbia University professor Jonathan Crary explained the concept further in his book 24/7. The scheme called for a train of many satellites to be placed in sun-synchronized orbits at an altitude of 1,700 kilometers, each equipped with fold-out parabolic reflectors of paper-thin material. Once fully extended to 200 meters in diameter, each mirror satellite would have the capacity to illuminate a 10-square-kilometer area on Earth with a brightness nearly 100 times greater than moonlight. Although Siromyatnikov's approach was inventive, the foundation of the idea was not entirely new. Decades earlier, German physicist Hermann Oberth and engineer Arnold Ericka had designed a similar concept involving a massive orbital reflector. Their reflector was meant to shine sunlight onto specific regions of Earth, but Oberth's version also included military applications, using concentrated sunlight as a weapon capable of burning targets or heating entire bodies of water. That project was abandoned during World War II, when Siromyatnikov presented his proposal to senior Soviet officials and the leadership of the space program in 1988. The reaction was largely dismissive. The Soviet economy was collapsing and resources were scarce. The government had little interest in funding a project that did not promise immediate economic returns. At the time, one of the USSR's most pressing priorities was improving agricultural output in northern regions, areas with long summer days but extremely short winter daylight. To gain support, Siromyatnikov reframed his concept as a way to extend daylight hours, what he called light extension, which he argued would improve productivity for agricultural workers. In an interview with the Moscow Times, he explained, "We are pioneers in the field. If the experiment goes according to plan, we propose to send dozens more craft into space in the future on a permanent basis." Interest in his idea grew quickly, both inside the Soviet Union and abroad. As funding prospects expanded, Siromyatnikov shifted his focus from using solar sails for propulsion to developing space mirrors designed to illuminate dark parts of the world. In addition to boosting farming efficiency in northern Russia, he emphasized that orbital reflectors could lower electrical lighting costs and even assist rescue workers during natural disasters such as earthquakes or hurricanes. With growing international enthusiasm, the Space Regatta Consortium finally obtained the financial resources needed to proceed. Expanding on the group's ambitions, Jonathan Crary wrote, "But the company subsequently expanded its plans to include the possibility of supplying nighttime lighting for entire metropolitan areas, reasoning that it could reduce energy costs for electric lighting. The company's slogan pitched its services as daylight all night long." Siromyatnikov reiterated this optimism in another Moscow Times interview. "No more electricity bills. No more long, dark winters. This is a serious breakthrough for technology." He named the project Znamya, meaning banner. The team first constructed a ground-based prototype of the Znamya reflector. Although the initial test version never reached orbit, it served as a vital stepping stone towards Znamya 2, a mirror measuring 65 feet across. The long-term plan called for launching Znamya 2, followed by the 82-meter Znamya 2.5, then the massive 230-meter Znamya 3, and ultimately a permanent mirror installation spanning 656 feet. A 1993 New York Times article titled, "Russians Detest Space Mirror as Giant Nightlight for Earth," outlined the scale of the proposed system. Initial operational systems, using reflectors 650 feet in diameter, would have 24 to 36 mirrors in northern inclination orbits, either 620 miles or 3,700 miles above Earth. A reflector could light a spot by itself, or several could be focused on the same area for continuous illumination or greater brightness, up to the light of 50 full moons. These massive reflectors, designed to rotate as they moved across the sky, would be able to keep their light focused on a single point on the ground, illuminating regions ranging from 35 miles to 55 miles wide. Znamya 2 itself was carried into orbit aboard the Progress M15 spacecraft, launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Then on October 27, 1992, after Progress rendezvoused with the Mir space station, the mirror was deployed alongside it. Once unfurled, the reflector created a 5-kilometer wide streak of light that swept across the Earth's surface, visible from southern France all the way to western Russia. The bright patch moved at several kilometers per second, and although its intensity matched the glow of a full moon, thick cloud cover over much of Europe obscured part of the display from observers on the ground. The promising results of Znamya 2 led directly to the creation of Znamya 2.5. This version was intended to illuminate up to 7 kilometers of terrain with the brightness of 10 full moons. But its primary innovation was the ability to keep the reflected beam locked onto a single location for several minutes. Speaking to the New York Times, Senior Znamya engineer Nikolai Sazov remarked, "The reflector was a big success because it proved the concept was right. Now we must seek support to build one of bigger size." Znamya 2.5 launched on February 5, 1999. But disaster struck during deployment. As the sail unfolded, the delicate mirror snagged on one of Mir's antennas and tore. Controllers attempted repeatedly to free it, but the reflector could not be salvaged. Eventually, the damaged structure drifted into a lower orbit, re-entered the atmosphere, and burned up. Seremetnikov continued to champion the proposed Znamya 3, an even larger and more ambitious reflector. But the program was ultimately canceled. Government officials concluded the research was too expensive, while environmental groups and scientists warned that space-based night lighting could pose serious physiological risks to wildlife and humans. Even so, Seremetnikov never abandoned the vision. He hoped that one day as many as 6 Russian cities might be illuminated from orbit. He worked on the concept until his death in 2006. His brilliance and persistence earned admiration not only from Russian engineers, but also from American colleagues who had worked with him years earlier. His surname's connection to the Russian word "syr," meaning cheese, earned him a friendly nickname among colleagues, the Big Cheese. But Seremetnikov was remembered not for nicknames, rather for his extraordinary dedication, innovation, and engineering brilliance. The deeper we look, the stranger our world becomes. Join us next time as we open another unknown file.